James Rohn. Over 3 million people have heard Jim Rohn speak, and many, many, many have been changed with the words and the pictures that he portrays. We've had breakfast with Jim with Swap here this morning, and also in Melbourne we had over 300 people at a breakfast in Melbourne, and one after the other they all got up and spoke how Jim had changed their lives with the words and the wisdom that he has. We had a breakfast yesterday on the Gold Coast, and the man that thanked him, Peter Webster from Direct Car Sales on the Coast, said that this is the 5th time that he had heard Jim speak. And he said something, and I'll never forget it, and I'm going to use it in the introduction here today. He said, in real estate, they say position, position, position. In retail sales, they say service, service, service. In public speaking, they say Jim Rohn, Jim Rohn, Jim Rohn. Would you please help me welcome Mr. Jim Rohn?
A pleasure for me to be here today and have this chance to see all of you. How many of you have never seen me before? This is your first time. Wow, most of you. Okay. I keep thinking I'm more famous than that, but that is the truth. But I'm delighted to be here. I first came to Australia 14 years ago, and I've been coming back every year, sometimes twice a year. This year, 3 times I come to Australia. So this is my second home, so I'm at home. And I come here more than any other country out of America, where I live. So I'm in love with Australia. I could live here easy. So it's just a pleasure for me to come back and to have a chance to visit with all of you. Just very briefly, I grew up in Idaho, farm country, little small village in the southwest corner of a very small state in America. High school, graduated, went to college 1 year. Halfway through my second year, I quit, thinking I was smart enough. Big mistake on my part. Should have stayed in school. But I got a job, went to work, started my family, and I'm living a fairly normal, average American life. About age 25. I'm behind on my bills. I've been working now 6 years. I've purchased and I can conveniently pay for on time, and I'm embarrassed by that. Creditors are calling saying, hey, you told us the check was in the mail. And I'm behind on my big mouth promises to my feet, and I'm wondering what to do to make my life better. I was willing to work hard. That was not my problem. But life just seemingly wasn't, producing the results I wanted at that time in my life. I didn't know what to do, and I thought maybe I should go back to school, but with a family, that's a tough decision. I thought, well, if I had a business of my own, that would do it. But, my finances didn't allow. I got pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank. Too much month at the end of the money, if you've ever been there. But in this sort of very frustrating period of my wondering what to do, good fortune came my way. I had a chance to meet a very wealthy man. His name was Mr. Schoaf, Mr. Earl Schoaf. A friend of mine had gone to work for him. And he started telling me about this man. He said, meet this man. He's wealthy, but he's easy to talk to. He's got a unique philosophy of life. And he kept going on, and I thought, I've got to meet this man. So I had a chance a little while after that to meet this man, Mr. Schoaf. I was impressed. He was wealthy. But he was easy to talk to. I was so impressed that within a few minutes I said to myself, I'd give anything if I was like him. What would it take? And then I thought to myself, if I could get around somebody like him, and if he would teach me, I would do anything. And that was my good fortune. A few months later, this wealthy man hired me, and I went to work for him, and I spent the next 5 years in his employ. And then, unfortunately, at the end of that 5 years, he died at age 49. But I got to spend 5 years with this remarkable man, and my dream came true. He taught me. He coached me. He taught me the books to read. He taught me the skills and the disciplines. He had changes to make in my language and personality. And the things he shared with me during that 5 years changed my whole life, changed my bank account, changed my income, changed my future. Remarkable. By the time I was 31 years old, I was a miracle. So, how lucky can you get, right, to meet the right person at the right time, who's willing to take the time and the energy to pass along life experiences and put it in understandable so that you can use it like I did. Pretty good fortune for me. Then 30 plus years ago, I was living in Beverly Hills, California. And one day a businessman friend, I'd like to have you come tell your story to our service club, the Rotary Club. He said, I know your story. Idaho farm boy makes it to Beverly Hills. But he said, I think my business colleagues would like to hear your story. Arranged one of our breakfast meetings, would you come tell your story? And I said, sure. So I went and told my story, and guess what? They liked it. And my telephone rang, and I got another call. Would you tell that same story? And my telephone rang again. Said, we've heard about the story you've told and the ideas you've shared. Would you come talk to our club? The first thing I know, I'm devoting a piece of my business time to giving these breakfast and luncheon talks. And then one day, a businessman who'd heard my talk about 3 times said, would you come talk to my management and salespeople? He said, if you would, I'd be happy to pay you. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be something? To share my experiences and get paid? So I agreed to do it, and went and shared my story with his management and salespeople, and I got paid. Little did I know, another fortune for me to translate my ideas and my experiences into seminars and speeches and lectures, and now it's taken me around the world and brought me back to Brisbane. And I'm away by what can happen to a farm boy from Idaho with a few ideas, just simply put, but thoroughly executed, and how dramatically your life can change. That's how I got here, and I thought I would just, brief you a little bit about my story. It's probably more interesting for me than it is for you, but I wanted to hear it again, so I thought I would just, bore you with it. I'm the one that's delighted and impressed about being here today. I don't ask you to be impressed, I'm impressed. From where I started, raised in obscurity, I was broke at age 25. Creditors were calling, saying, you told us the check was in the mail. And then the next 6 years of my life, after meeting a teacher who was willing to share with me, my life dramatically changed. So what I'd like to share with you today is what made the difference in the first 6 years of economic life, between ages 19 and 25. I worked hard, but I wound up broke. I worked hard, but I wound up discouraged. I worked hard, but I wound up what I considered behind after 6 years, right? Pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, behind, way behind on my promises. And then the second 6 years of my economic life, I became a millionaire. Now, how do you do that? First 6 differ so drastically from the second 6 years. And what I'd like to do with you, if you're ready to take some notes and ready to go to work, I'd like to share with you what made the difference for me. First 6 years of my economic life, 1995, and what made the dramatic difference in my life between ages 25 and 31. And if you've got some patience to stay here, I know it's getting a bit late, but if you've got some extra patience, take some notes, let me share with you what I think made the difference. Let me give you a formula, first of all, that Mr. Shove shared with me, helped turn my life around. Here's what he said. There's usually about a half dozen things. Just make that. Half dozen things makes 80% of the difference. I guess I better stay out here. He said about a half dozen things, % of the difference. Now, it's not exactly half dozen, it's not exactly 80%, but you get my concept. Keep looking for the few things that makes the most difference. And then here's the key part. Then spend most of your time working on those half dozen things that's going to make the most difference in your health, your bank account, your future, how you run the office, sales career, management, school career. Doesn't matter. Keep looking for the few things that's going to matter the most, and then spend the biggest amount of time concentrating on those few things. Here's what we call those few things. Basics. Fundamentals. And remember, there's no new fundamentals. In operating your life successfully, there's just a few fundamentals to learn and study. Those fundamentals have been around for the last 6,500 years, recorded history. And once you know them, you know them. And here's what else is exciting. There's no new ones, so you don't have to learn any new fundamentals. Fundamentals are old. Right? Be a little suspicious of somebody who says, I've come along with new truth. Say, no, truth is old. You might have just made the discovery. There might be some new ways to say it, new ways to apply it to your business career, social career, personal career. But see, truth is old, fundamental, right? Somebody says, I got a new fundamental. Say, no, that doesn't even make sense. Wouldn't you be a little suspicious of somebody who said, we're manufacturing antiques, you got to come and see our plant and watch us turn out? You'd say, no, that's silly. You can't manufacture antiques. Antiques are what? Old. But let's go through some of the basic fundamentals that makes life worthwhile. life experience on the spinning planet. What makes it work well? And if your life doesn't work well, if economics don't work well, if your health doesn't work well, if how you feel about yourself is not working, what do you fix? I've got 5 pieces for you to consider. Let me give you that list of 5, okay? Here they are. I call them the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. 5 things to make life work well. Like make your income work well, get the promotions, make your life work well and all of the equities that you want. 5 major pieces. And if something isn't working well in your life, I'm telling you, if you'll take a close look at these 5 major pieces, you might find the answer to how you can fix it. So that the second 6 years, and if you took a look at your last 6 years, I don't know what you'd come up with. And then if you was to say, hey, I don't want the next 6 years of my life to be like the last 6. I'd like to double, multiply by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10 my results, the next 6 versus the last 6. If that's really what you want, I want you now to seriously consider these half dozen or 5 major pieces I've got to the life puzzle. Here's the first one, philosophy. Philosophy. Philosophy is what makes us different than dogs and animals and birds and crocodiles and spiders and amoebas. Philosophy. The ability to use our mind, the ability to think, the ability to ponder, the ability to read and study and gather up ideas and information, change the course of our life, change our income, change our future, change our bank account, change anything. The reason why extraordinary ability to change our lives in any manner we wish is because we have the ability to come up with a philosophy that comes out of our thinking, comes out of our mind, comes out of this marvelous thing we've got called the thought process. And that's what most changes our life. Each person's personal philosophy is the major determining factor in how their life works out. And I'd like to have you take that note home. If you really forget the rest, just remember each person's philosophy is the major determining factor in how your life works out. Philosophy, that which makes us different than all other life forms. The ability to think. Philosophy. Okay, now if you would have asked me at age 25, Mr. Rohn, how come you find yourself in such an embarrassing position? Pennies in your pocket, nothing in the bank, creditors are calling. You're waving your big mouth promises. It's not going well for you. You're embarrassed, you're discouraged, and yet you live in America. You're 25 years old, you've been to college 1 year, right? You've got a lovely family, every reason to do. How come you find yourself in such a sorry state at age 25? If you would have asked me that question, it would never have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. It occurred to me. You say, well, Mr. Rohn, what do you suppose were the reasons why you were not doing well at age 25? Well, I didn't blame my philosophy. I found it easier to blame the government. I found it easier to blame taxes. I used to say taxes are too, what? High. Guess what the top tax rate was when I first started paying taxes in America back when I first started working? Answer, 91%. That was the top tax rate. Once your income reached a certain level, all of your income over that certain level was taxed at 91%. So I used to say taxes are too high. Now the top federal tax rate in America is about 33%. But guess what I still hear people say in America? The reason I'm not doing well is because taxes are too... See, that doesn't make sense. If it's gone from 91% down to 33%, you can't use the old excuse, I'm not doing well because taxes are too high. That won't fly. Blame my negative relatives. They were always putting me down. I used to blame my cynical neighbors. They're just selfish, looking out for themselves. Won't loan you money. I mean, they were on my list. I used to blame the company policy. I used to say, how do they expect you to do well by your family when this is all they pay? I used to blame circumstances. I used to blame the unions and the wage scale. I used to blame prices. I used to blame, it's too hot, it's too cold, it's too difficult. Things don't work well for me. I thought those were the reasons why I was not doing well. And the answer is, that's not true. Here's the major thing my teacher taught me. It's been in your life, Mr. Rohn, the last 6 years. Out there in the marketplace, it's going to be the same the next 6 years. It isn't going to change. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't go well. But all the stuff that's happening outside, you cannot change, because here's what it's like. It's like the wind that blows. And the wind that blows is the only thing that can take you somewhere. Your income, relationship with your family, the equities of life that you might want. The wind that blows, that's what gives us opportunity. But we cannot blame the wind that blows for where we find ourselves at age 25, pennies in our pocket, nothing in the creditors calling, embarrassed, behind on your promises. You can't blame the wind that blows. Then what should we blame? And it's a key phrase for the day. You must blame the set of the sail, which is your personal philosophy. Each person's philosophy is like the set of the sail, the conclusions you've come to, the ideas and information that's come your way, and the decisions you've made about that information. That sets the for you. That is your own personal philosophy. So here's the key to income for the future. It's not the wind that blows. The wind that blows is called opportunity. The wind that blows is called the only thing that can take there. Then you say, how can I arrive where I want to arrive? Where can I finally get, how can I get to where I want to get to? Here's the answer. You must learn to set a better sail. Don't wish for a more favorable wind. We would call that naive. Wish that you had the wisdom. Wish that everybody had the wisdom to have signed up for this seminar today, heard all of these speakers to do what? Information to do what? Set a better sail. That's what the sermon is for on Sunday mornings, to help you set a better sail. That's what books and cassette tapes are for, to give you the information to refine, and today will refine your philosophy. Okay? That's what it's all for. That's why we've got teachers in school, to help us set a better sail. Make sure that we've got the information, got the basics. The wind is going to blow on us all. We're all going to be faced with all of those circumstances out there. The difference is not going to be the wind that blows. The difference is going to be the set of the sail. So now we've got to have ideas and information to help us to grow, set a better sail, think better, make better decisions, come up with better ideas for our income, our future, the equities that we want. So where do we get in information and ideas that can help change our life? Let me give you some sources. Just take these notes. Number one, from personal experience. You just got to learn to set a better sail, sometimes just from your own personal experience. Here's one way to learn to do it right. And that's wrong. Now the key is, don't let it take too long. If you've done it wrong 10 years, we suggest that's long enough. We do not suggest 10 more years just to prove a point. No, 10 years enough. When I met my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, I'd been working 6 years between ages 19 and 25. My teacher simply said to me, Mr. Rohn, you've been working 6 years. How are you doing? I said, not very well. He said, I suggest you not do that anymore. What a swift and quick analysis of my current situation. Why wouldn't you now ponder ways to analyze your experience of the last 6 years and see if you can't apply that experience to the next 6 years and make things for your life totally different than it was the first 6 years? I had never thought of that. Learn from your personal experience. My personal experience was not good. He asked me a few simple questions. Let me give you those questions. Just jot these down. Question number one, Mr. Schoaf said, Mr. Rohn, how much money have you saved and invested the last 6 years? And I said, approximately how much do you suppose? 0. He said, who sold you on that plan? I thought, my gosh, the man's right. I'm a nice guy. I love my family. I've been to at least 1 year of college, and I've been working 6 years, but I bought the wrong plan. And I thought, wouldn't it be pitiful to wind up age 40, age 50, nice guy, family, bought the wrong plan. I'm telling you, it's the set of the sail. It's not circumstances. It's not out there that's the problem. I used to say, things cost too much. Here's what my teacher said, Mr. Rohn, let's face the reality. You can't afford it. I thought, what a new way to look at it. I never thought about that. My teacher said, it's not it, Mr. Rohn, that's the problem. It is like it's been for 6,500 years. It isn't going to change for the next 6,500 years. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. Then I asked, well, then how will my life ever change? And here's what he said, if you will change. And I want to give you that promise on this March Day 92. Take this home with you. I came all the way from America to Brisbane to bring you this message, and here it is. If you will change, everything will change for you. Don't wish for things to change outside. It's not going to occur. Night follows day, day follows night. Expansion follows recession, recession follows expansion. The ups follow the downs. It follows opportunity. That isn't going to change. It isn't going to change in the 90s. So how will your life ever change? Just pick up this promise that I give you on this March Day. If you will change and set a better day, do some better reading, pick up some ideas and information, learn from your own experience. I'm telling you, you can set a better sail in the 90s, and you do not care about the wind that blows. You'll be so ready and so equipped to handle any wind, handle any circumstance. It won't matter what the government does. I'm telling you, if you understand this stuff, it doesn't matter what taxes are. It doesn't matter what prices are. It doesn't matter the recession. None of that stuff. Once you understand that all of that is simply the wind that blows. And all you've got to do to let the wind carry you where you'd like to go is simply set a better sail. One of it is learn from your own experiences. Now here's number two. I call it other people's experiences. That's why we came by today, these speakers, myself, to share with you some of our experiences. Might save you a year. Might save you ready. Might save you an empty purse 6 years from now. Might save you having to explain rather than celebrate. That's what we all came by for. Share our experiences. Now there's two kinds of people to jot this down. Number one, failures. You got to learn from failures, people that have messed it up. Learn from negative as well as positive. It's too bad failures don't give seminars. Wouldn't that be valuable? A guy that's messed up his life for 40 years. You just say, John, would you come and spend a day with me? I will bring my journal and take good notes. Just tell me how I messed it up. A good-looking guy like you, got a lovely family, every reason for doing well, threw it all away. Give me the notes so I don't make the same mistakes. So number one, learn from negative. Here's number two, learn from positive. Somebody that's got some answers, somebody that's done well. Pick up the information to the best of your ability. That's what you're here for, from the positive. Somebody that's done well. Farm boy from Idaho, raised in obscurity. The speakers that were here started from scratch and started from nothing. Now they're able to make this kind of a presentation. You just got to pick up that information. Mother who has magic with her children. Wouldn't you want to know? You say, Mary, if you'll meet me tomorrow morning for breakfast, this neat little cafe, I'm telling you, you'll love it. I'll pick up the tab. And meet you tomorrow morning for breakfast. And you say, Mary, how did you get this magic with your children? She says, well, to be honest with you, up until 3 years ago, my kids were out of control. And then I read this book. I went to this seminar.